Good morning. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to say I am a silly guy on YouTube. Um, Anything that I say is not financial advice and it is for entertainment purposes only. Thank you. Getting that out of the way. So, let's see, what are we on? This is the Euro. You can see I've got three charts up. We've got the 5 minute, 4 hour, 1 day. And I believe, let's see, there's no news pending soon or anything like that. So unless we get some ridiculous tweet, if you look at the 4 hour on the left here, you can see that the news bar from Friday, I think that was Powell speaking, sort of tapped out, had a little bit of a correction here, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get a second leg correction out of this, 2 legs, so that should go down to about here, which is just about where my take profit is. So you can see I've got a trade on. There's actually 2 of them. You can't see it because they're overlapped. Yeah, you can see there's actually 2 trades there. Anyway, so it's a total of 15 instead of 10, but not a whole lot. So I'm putting on a short here, and I'm expecting this to collapse down to the take profit, but I'm also doing a 1-to-1, as you can see. And I spent a bunch of time this weekend playing around with DCA stuff and some hedging. And I even split my account up into 2 different accounts to allow myself to hedge if I wanted to, and then I just sort of I just undid it right now. So the hedging is a little bit, well, hedging is different. Hedging involves having, in the U.S. anyway, you have to have 2 accounts, and you take a long in one and a short in the other. And the idea is that you lock in a loss if you're wrong on something. So on hedging, it would have been like, oh, I went short here in this account and I put a long buy stop in up here on some other account, so that if I'm actually wrong, the difference between the 2 accounts locks in a loss, and then you work on trying to clear that later. It's a way of putting off your losses until later. So it's like until the positions are actually closed, you haven't taken a loss, or you can fiddle around and make money on other trades and then cancel the hedge out that way. It's annoying because, well, I don't know. DCA and hedging, I think in practice are a little bit more annoying than I expected. So DCA specifically, and hedging as well, as soon as you actually start doing it live, what happens to you is you spend a bunch of time worrying about, well, what happens if prices runs away? So I had a DCA trade on with no stop last night on the Australian dollar, and it just looks similar to this. I basically bought at the bottom, or not the bottom. It was like I bought here and had to take profit up here or something, and ran against me and then went up and filled the take profit anyway, which is fine. But what I found was that, your mind runs through all these scenarios about, what if you wake up in the morning and price is back down here and you've got this minus 10% trade sitting there, and then you have to worry about, well, how do I clear it out? What do I do? Do I take a quadruple long and hope that it bounces? And then if it doesn't bounce, I take an even bigger loss. And it's just like, okay. So I don't know. I may still use DCA in a sense. An example of that might be if I really think that this is going to be a short here, and let's say it pulls back up and it starts to bounce again at this, I might actually throw another 10 or 15,000 on up here as it comes back down, because it's turning into a range instead. And do that and make that the entire trade, and then when it gets back down to break even, close the whole thing out or something. So there's things that I might do that are DCA like, in certain situationally, but I think, I don't know, overall trading without stops is nuts, because you're your mind, at least my mind, is it's I can't let it rest. It's like, I can't let the thing rest. So it's actually better, I think, for me to trade with a dynamic take profit and a dynamic stop and keep them 1-to-1 so that it's really, really wide, because in Forex, what I'm finding as a beginner is that it is nearly impossible to pick a turn that doesn't get wiped out later. It's really, really hard. It's too squirrely. It has a tendency to, um, not continue a trend for very far before reversing and having a really steep pullback, or even like a megaphone or something. And then continuing on in your direction. And then when it decides to trend, it has a tendency to do it all at once, and there's some big move that you can't possibly get into easily, which is also annoying. So anyway, yeah. So I may, I may use the idea, the concept of adding on in pullbacks, and things like that, but I'm not sure I'm going to use DCA for now. For now, I'm just going to stick with relatively wide stops. Like you can see here, I could have picked a really tight stop and said, well, hey, I'm I'm expecting this bar not to be broken or something like that. But that's not right. I could be totally wrong about this price action. And there does seem to be a bit of a natural range here, so it's better to have it well above this piece. And again, it's 1-to-1 with the take profit. So I figure if the stop is wide enough, your odds of getting stopped out due to random price fluctuation are less. And then because you've got a 1-to-1 with your take profit, then even coin toss, you would still be 50-50. If it's wide enough, I think it's closer to 50-50. And then with any kind of an edge that you have potentially, then of course you're above that. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run, and we'll see where this trade goes. I don't normally trade the euro, which is strange. I don't know why. I tend to be a bit contrarian, and I always felt like the euro was the thing that everybody traded. Well, obviously it's got essentially the best spreads and the highest margins, so why would you not trade the euro? But anyway, so that's that, and we'll see how this plays out, and then I'll keep finding opportunities like this. I did put something back on my watch list just for the evening, which is the Australian dollar, and I may put a few other things on for the evenings. I don't know. I have a hard time just putting the whole thing down. I feel like there's opportunities in the evening, but we'll see. And of course, looking at this again, looks like I sort of, in a way, I did actually short at the bottom of a range, which isn't great. So I don't know. Could have waited for this to break a little further down, but we'll see what happens. This is what my gut was telling me, is that this is just begging to break the whole thing down. So we'll see, and moving on until the next time. Thank you.